Need a manicure. Oh, this knife blows. Hey guys, it's Alex. Welcome to my kitchen where we only cook healthy food that doesn't suck. What I'm working with today is potatoes, celery, carrots, an onion, a bell pepper, various fish, and fish stock. So naturally, we are going to be making a really delicious fish soup. Now, you might be thinking fish soup sounds gross, but I assure you, this is so good. It's like winter and fall and homecoming and hearty and delicious. Let's get started. First up, we need to make a mirepoix. Mirepoix is the fancy French way of saying carrots, onions, and celery. I don't know how much I'm making. I'm gonna eyeball everything, which always works out, right? We are actually gonna start with an onion. I'm gonna cut off the tip. I'm gonna cut the whole thing in half. And then I'm gonna peel away the outside layer. I'm so strong. So the closer and smaller that you make your incisions, the smaller your dice is gonna be. And then we can just really easily come across. And now we have a beautiful, perfect dice. Okay, so now we have our carrots. I just learned this the other day and I think it's the coolest thing ever. You can peel both ways. Hushly rainbow, no more carrot skin. I think the only song I do on here is The Lion King. Like, I feel like I'm moving at lightning speed. And then we're just gonna do a nice dice. Put some olive oil in your pot, just like a good healthy drizzle. And then we're gonna add in the onions. That's hot. I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Then I'm gonna turn it down a bit because I am not done chopping up the rest of my mirepoix. And I'm done chopping carrots. Now we go celery. So do nice long stripes and then dice it. Okay, let's add these into our onions. I got these potatoes. I'm using some white potatoes. So like a handful of potatoes. And then just dice these up. In case you hadn't noticed, my shirt's pretty cool. I am a gangster rapper. And kind of, you know, a regular rapper in my dreams. I used to read Word Up magazine. I gotta stop right meow. I wish there was a machine that you could just drop vegetables into and they came out perfectly diced or sliced or grated or whatever. Come on, robots, do your job. Oh man, if everybody had robotic kitchens, I'd be out of a job. Nobody would need to learn how to cook anything. They'd just be like, sorry, girl, my robot's making dinner tonight. I'd be like, you're lucky. Can I be you? So my dad actually gave me this recipe. He's been making it, I feel like, for a really long time. I just always remember this recipe being a part of my life. And it's a really good way to use up, say if you had some odds and ends of fish laying around. Who has odds and ends of fish laying around? Like, what does your house smell like? So now we're gonna make a little bit of a roux. I'm using so many fancy words today. A roux is basically butter and flour that thickens up your soup. So I'm gonna be using regular butter, but I'm gonna be using quinoa flour. We'll see if it works. So I've got like a, I don't know, what's that, like a tablespoon of butter into the pan. Make sure you buy high quality butter. This is Carrie's Irish Gold. I love it. This part is optional. If you wanna add in some red pepper flakes, now would be a good time to do that. Get it spicy. Our butter is melted, so now I'm gonna add in 1 teaspoon, some quantity of flour. Generally, you would use just regular white flour. I'm gonna use quinoa flour to keep this gluten-free. So just sprinkle it around, but it's gonna kind of stick to all of your vegetables and give them this really nice, almost like it's thickening it. So the thing you just wanna make sure is that all of your flour is really well combined, and then you wanna cook it off a little bit. So you don't want raw flour in your mix. So you want to add the flour and then let it kind of simmer for a little bit. So now we get to the portion of the stew, which is why I made the stew in the first place. And that is my beautiful fish stock. We made this crab and lobster pasta the other day with my in-laws. And it was so amazing, but we had so many leftover shells. And I was like, there is no way that I am letting those shells go to waste. So I turned those shells into this amazing fish stock. You could use chicken stock, you could use vegetable stock, probably not beef stock. You want something kind of light. So now we're gonna wanna bring this up to a boil. And I might even add a little bit more water just to kind of make more volume. So now we wait for the boil. Okay, let's talk about fish. I've got cod, salmon, and shrimp. You could really use any combination of fish, but just for color's sake, something white, something red, something pink would be good. So you get a little bit of contrast and it just looks pretty. Now the fish is gonna be the absolute last thing that we add into this, but I'm just gonna get it all chopped up right now. You're gonna see that fish cooks so fast. Once it's in the boiling broth, it really only takes like 4 minutes. So I've got my cod here. Now when you get fish, you should smell it. It shouldn't really smell fishy. It's gonna smell a bit like the ocean, but you don't want it to be like, whoa, that's fish. So this still smells really good. Ideally, you would be getting a whole fish, because then you could look at the eyeballs and you could look at the skin and you could see, you know, did this fish die recently? Is it healthy? Is it good? You could use scallops, you could use halibut, you could use, you know, those other types of fish that exist in the world. You don't want fish that hasn't been sustainably sourced, so make sure that you check where your fish is coming from. That's very important. You're not gonna put any skin in the soup, so what I'm actually gonna do for the salmon is remove the skin. So I am no expert in this by any means. Ideally, you would have some kind of flexible knife to get under here, but I don't. So flat on the board, I'm gonna make an incision to kind of get into it, but ideally I wanna go this way so that I can hold the skin in one hand and kind of help my knife along. So the knife should really just be like gliding along the skin. You don't wanna macerate it. You just wanna kind of gently, you're like pulling with the one hand and pushing with the other. That's pretty damn clean for not having the right knife. And the whole back is... Thank you. God, I'm like masterful. All right, let's see if I can do that again. This is so actually kind of easy. Not as difficult as I was anticipating. And like worked really well. You go, girl. So again, I'm just gonna cut my salmon into kind of equally sized chunks as my cod. And my shrimps, I bought them frozen, which isn't necessarily ideal. And they're technically already peeled and deveined. But if you were getting fresh shrimp, you just wanna come along the top here and make sure that there isn't like a black line of anything. Because that black line is poop. And you do not want poop in your soup. This is a no poop soup. Okay, so this is all the fish that I'm gonna be adding in. So I'm just gonna put these in the fridge for now while I wait for everything else to get ready. The very last thing I have to chop off is this red onion. The red onion is kind of optional. You don't necessarily need it, but it adds a really nice color to the soup. So I just cut off the top, I cut off the bottom. I'm gonna make a small incision in the side, and then I'm gonna come and just snip all of these veins really gently. And then I get the entire center. And so I have this beautiful thing I could just chop up. So now I can just go along the top here and make like a nice dice. I guess this is a julienne actually. I'm learning knife skills for you guys because I feel like if I'm gonna talk about knife skills, I should have a couple of them. And then with the bottoms, you just do the same thing. So you cut them into nice long strips and then cut them across the other way. Will this thing finally frickin' boil? Like, come on. All right, so we are rapidly boiling over here. I'm gonna add my potatoes. Carefully, don't burn yourself. Yeah, just like that. It's been about 12 minutes and my potatoes are basically cooked. So I'm gonna add in all of my red pepper and all of my fish. All right, so I'm turning the heat up a little bit just to really get the boil happening. I'm gonna give this a good mix. Already the salmon is turning pink. The other thing I'm gonna add in here last minute is a little bit of fresh dill. You could use thyme or oregano or any kind of herb you want, but dill is classically something that goes with fish very well. Now herbs are something you want to add in kind of the last minute because they lose a lot of their flavor if you put them in too early. All right guys, that is it. Literally 4 minutes on the nose. Everything is cooked beautifully. And then with a slotted spoon, I'm gonna grab my portion. So I make sure that I get some of my shrimp, and I make sure that I get some of the cod and some of the salmon. And then I'm gonna add some of this nice, beautiful stock on top. Hot as friggin' hell. I forgot the dill. Add the dill. I'm gonna add a couple sprinkles on here. Beautiful! All right guys, we have this amazing fish stew, fish soup, fish chowder. I don't know what you would call it, but I call it delicious because it's so good, it's so hearty, and really super duper easy. If you love this recipe, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you would do something different, be sure to let me know in the comments below. We can all learn from each other. Thank you so much for watching. I put out new healthy food videos every single week, so be sure to check back next Tuesday for another awesome recipe. See you guys then.